Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot. Now, this is going to be your full moon gods at play reading for the sign that is down in the title. It's a bulk introduction as ever. There will be a timestamp down below, but stick with it this time, at least the first time, because there's some good information I've pulled together, I believe. I've had some real fun researching this and working everything out. So, timestamp because, or first time because, it's a good idea to watch at least 3 of these. So your sun sign, your moon sign and your rising sign. My personal favourite would be your rising sign. You know, if you don't get to watch any of the others, watch your rising sign. There's a link down below for a birth chart if you don't know what that is. It takes you to AstroSeek. If you do know a little bit about astrology, you can choose what house system you want and all that sort of thing. So, being a general reading, of course, it's not aimed at any one person specifically. So it's a sort of, it either is for you or it isn't. It's not really a reading where you can ask a question beforehand, although you could if you want to. I don't know how effective that would be. It's a look at the energies that are interplaying. It's the gods at play readings, by their very nature, are dramatic, wonderfully dramatic. So take it all with a pinch of salt. Remember, it's the shape of the images rather than the literal words that are important here. So let's get on to this new moon. So 9 degrees Aries. This is the harvest moon, which is the first full moon after fall equinox. Now, the astrologer Kelly Rosano is saying it's a great reset. It's a great time to make a fresh start, to reinvent yourself, to keep moving if you have a strategy. And if you don't have the strategy, work on the strategy. You know, don't just move without a strategy. But if you can keep moving, do keep moving. Now, with it being 9 degrees Aries, I'm going to be referring to all my written notes and some notes on the computer here. This point has a history this year. So, back on the 11th of July this year, Chiron stationed retrograde at this point to conjunct 3 days later on the 14th with Mars. So this point has been activated already with that warrior fire energy of Mars, but tamed a little. Tamed is probably the wrong word, but in the act of receiving instruction. Now, Chiron, a lot of people remember that he's the wounded healer, that he has the wound that will not heal. But I'm not being led to that woundedness with this point. What I'm being led to is the fact that Chiron was a teacher of heroes. Chiron trained Hercules, among other characters, and I've suddenly forgot all of the other characters. It's just fallen out the back of my brain. But Chiron was a teacher. And going back to the astrology, because I'll get back to the symbolism of Chiron in a moment. So Mars conjuncted with Chiron on the 14th. Now, Mars had just conjuncted 3 days before? No, as Chiron stationed retrograde on the 11th here at 9 degrees, the moon conjuncted Mars. Now, the moon had been a busy boy. From the 5th of July, he had been conjuncting with Jupiter and Pluto, then on the 6th, Saturn, and he delivered all of that information to Mars on the 6th via the means of a sextile, you know, which is it's a modern aspect. It's like a little vaguely positive download, I would suppose. Then the moon conjuncted with Neptune on the 10th and took all that ocean energy straight to Mars on the 11th, which Mars then took, you know, obviously quite possibly reeling and, you know, having that comic moment of and then it conjuncted with Chiron. So Chiron was there to help Mars make sense of everything that the moon had just gone at him. And now the moon has returned. I mean, obviously it returns every month, but now the moon has really returned in the terms of this harvest moon, full moon. So I'm really seeing that there has been a period where we have been able to make sense maybe of wounds, or make sense of our path forward, and things that you started around the middle of July, so 11th, 14th, all that sort of area onwards, can be coming to a culmination of sorts with this full moon. Now, that's just a culmination, not the culmination. So it's not like a final conclusion. It's you're going to be reaching towards a high point, a potentially healing high point, but as a result of everything that you have learned and things that you set into motion back in July. Now, the symbols back this up somewhat. Let me get through to this. Here we go. Now, the Chandra symbol is the roots of a tree entwined around the statue of a nude woman. So the explanation of this sounds a bit weird, but just think about the weird time we have gone through with 2020, with all the lockdown restrictions, with the new restrictions that we've had to introduce for ourselves to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe, the financial restrictions that have no doubt come in at the same time. And these restrictions are definitely being highlighted now by the current Mars square Saturn, or Mars Saturn square is what I was going to say, which goes to show again that Mars trying to demonstrate everything he'd learned under the tutelage of Chiron. It's we have got to find a way forward, and Saturn's going, if you find a way forward, you do it sensibly, within the limits. You do it within a defined pathway. You do it with strategy. Another thing Kelly Rosano said in her video was that squares are like a step up. You can use them, and I think Rick Levine has talked about how you can resolve issues in a square creatively, using creativity, but that square creates tension in the first place, so it's highlighting issues that are already there. So going back to this roots of a tree entwined around the statue, so it says bondage and freedom sometimes go hand in hand. The bondage is being true to pattern, predictable, here's Saturn, caught in habits and tendencies perpetually left to grow like weeds. The freedom is that as you meet yourself starkly in the midst of these old, tired patterns of behaviour, you come into touch with a quickening flame of self-recreation, stimulated and forced by being at the mercy of the relentless powers. Now, if that doesn't sum up what is also going on in the astrology around this full moon with that Mars-Saturn square, I don't know what does. You cannot... the heavens are most definitely giving us a huge message here. Anyway, I'll continue with this. The impulse to make yourself over is fervently strong, courageous, ready and willing. The old stuff dies hard. You are therefore engaged in a pitched battle of a protracted kind between retrogressive and progressive ideals, impulses and desires. Both sides are so impassioned and sharply intent that this could become a knockdown, drag-out battle of wills. Now, if that doesn't reflect the politics as well as our own internal struggle at the moment, I don't know what does. Where was I? The atavistic backward-leaning will feel immune to change. The visionary forward-thrusting will feel moved by evolutionary forces to never give up. Eventually, the future prevails over the past, but not before scars and multiple traumas mark the spot of fighting for your life against an implacable inward enemy who knows it will lose and fights all the harder accordingly. I hadn't read that right through to the end. That doesn't bode well for the election, does it? So, moving on. Another thing is the Omega symbol. Again, I'm reading Aries 10 because this full moon is at 9 degrees and 8 minutes of Aries, therefore it's in the 10th degree. So in many different places, a man keeps seeing the same number. It's talking about interacting and being inspired. Now there will have been over this period, I mean, there is over any period, but over this period especially, certainly under the tutelage of Chiron, there will have been certain things which will have appeared again and again and again. And with all the circumstances that we've had recently, we're pretty much forced to look at it. Just as Saturn is now stationing direct, turning to face Mars as it goes in that square to it, and Saturn is like this, look here, this, those things that you cannot resist, those things that you cannot ignore. And when I say you can't resist, I don't mean like chocolates, I mean like a wall. You cannot resist a wall if you run into it, you know. This so it's definitely highlighting those limitations that we're going to face, and how we are going to be able to change ourselves to overcome those limitations. Now, presiding over this degree is the angel Eladia, who the phrase I have here is looks can kill, protection from the evil eye and divine grace. But so I investigated Eladia a little further, and as a guardian angel, where she is, I think, is it the first half of the second decan of second half of the second decan of Taurus, but she also presides over 9 degrees Aries, 21 degrees Gemini, and my database isn't built up any further than that. There will be another 3 points that she presides over. Now, Eladia symbolises tolerance and clarity of mind, giving you inspiration to succeed in your endeavours, as well as helping in restoring your morale. He also brings you healing and forgiveness for your faults. What is really interesting is that of the charisms he rules over, it's interpretation. It's how to interact and how to perceive the world around you. Now, you can ask Eladia to bring you divine grace so that your faults may be forgiven, but that's also a process of, to do that, you need to have recognised your faults in the first place, and then to have them forgiven, you also have to make sure that you are not making the same faults again and again and again and again. So there's that whole rebirth element going on once more. So here I've got Guardian Angel Eladia provides tolerance, mental clarity, forgiveness, healing of illnesses, recognition of your mistakes. So Eladia will help you recognize where the mistakes, and that's a good thing, because if you think this Mars square Saturn, it's Mars retrograde, we are reviewing what we have already set into motion, and then as Mars goes direct again, we get to do it again, but properly. Eladia offers a sense of freedom from your past and helps instill a sense of morality. I'll just leave that one there because that's too much of a hot topic there. But within the Goetia, the by day, let me see. This degree is ruled by Baal by day and Phoenix by night. Now, Phoenix is depicted as a phoenix. So again, we've got that symbol of rebirth, and he's a great Marquis of Hell, has 20 legions of demons under his command, but he teaches all wonderful sciences and is an excellent poet and tends to be very obedient to those who summon him. Now, he does hope to return to heaven after 1200 years, but it is noted that he is deceived in this hope, and it's definitely been 1200 years since Solomon helped conjure him to help build his temple. So if the full moon is happening in the night where you are, there is that added oomph of rebirth from that phoenix energy. Now, Baal or Baal is more of a shapeshifter and warrior god. He's also incredibly, well, kingly. Basically, he's one of the 9 kings of Goetia, and he presides over solstices, fire festivals, gives aid in astral projection, shapeshifting within dreams, and is also helps with the reconciliation of friends, which might be a really useful tool. And that could be a step on your using that square to climb up, because Temper's afraid this year, understandably. If there's anyone that you need to make up with, and the full moon is in the day where you are. I mean, I remember last week there was some astrological conjunction or other, well, aspect or other, that was also helping with this whole reconciliation idea. So that energy is obviously still with us by Baal being empowered by the full moon. Now, that's probably technically not the right way to say it, but you know, Baal's mastery of this degree empowering the full moon, put it that way. You know, so all in all, this promises to be a really good full moon if you take advantage of it. So yeah, do your full moon ceremony, but also be in touch with people. Be in touch with all the voices inside your head, and be in touch with some of the voices outside of your head, like your friends, your family, anybody that you maybe need to smooth things over with, and anybody that will help you move forward in things that you have already set into motion, and hopefully set them into motion using your strategy that is so heavily advised by Saturn. And you set it into motion before Mars turned retrograde. Now's not a good time to start new things. If you haven't got a new thing that you have started, then plan, strategize. You can move forward once you have your plan and your strategy. Now, you're going to hear a lot more of this sort of stuff from me. I want to give a very quick plug to the Astrology Hub and the course that they are running with famed astrologer Rick Levine. That starts next Sunday, 4th of October. I will be doing that course as well. So you know how I keep saying, no, I'm not an astrologer? Well, hopefully by the end of it, I'll be that one step closer to being one. I mean, okay, it's still going to take me a decade to get there, but I get to study under Rick Levine. How cool is that? And so can you. So if you go over to the Astrology Hub website, astrologyhub.org, just Google Astrology Hub, and then whatever that web address is /foundation, and you will find that course. It works out $200 and odd with tax, really odd, like $4.50 or something, $4.88 I think I paid. So yeah, if you're into all this stuff, and hey, you've listened to me drone on for what, 17 minutes now, I better get on with the reading in a moment. But you've listened to me waffle on for all of that. So come and join. It should be fun. Now, there's also a link down below for my Facebook page for this channel. I'd be remiss if I didn't give that a plug. There is an inbox on that Facebook page. So if you want to contact me for a personal reading, feel free. That's one of the ways to do it. You can DM me on Twitter as well. I have a Linktree link down there for all the different social media bits and bats. And I have the time now October is, yes, I've no idea what month it is. I mean, as Rick Levine said, we are on the 175th of March. But October, I have a lot more free time. I hope to be generating a lot more videos for you. And I've just seen my video go really weird there. So I think I will stop talking now and bring up the cards. Cheers. And well done, Virgo Sun, if you've just made it through the entire introduction. And welcome, Virgo Rising and Virgo Moon, if you've just joined us after the timestamp. Now, if you are Virgo Rising, although this can sort of affect Virgo Sun and Moon as well, but in different ways, this full moon is occurring in your 8th house, which is all about shared resources and intense emotions. Now, it can often be a harbinger for a large outlay of cash. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts of it. But that large outlay of cash can be either you are settling a debt, you're getting rid of some form of a debt or some form of tie, or helping out somebody. There is a transformation that is called for, either a deep internal one or in your day-to-day life by a full moon in your 8th house, that can be inspired by you or could be inspired by the needs of those around you. And you have some really interesting cards. Let me just point them out to you, the oppositions we have. We have Katesh with pleasure as being the force that is suppressing you, but Helen of Troy with beauty uplifting you. We have Nematona with secrecy pressing you down, but Hell with concealment lifting you up. So, on one level, pleasure versus beauty and secrecy versus concealment, which seem like really interesting polarities. But a transformation is called for here. There is something. It's as if you are going to be told, Hermes, communication, of something that you need to do. So this is something coming in from elsewhere. You need to do this. And I get the impression that opposing these, we have Shiva the Destroyer and Poseidon as Earthshaker. So I rather get the impression that it's do I Hellas like, is your response. There is something where I believe you're wanting to seek after an ideal, or that you will be led to seek after an ideal, or that it is in your benefit to seek after an ideal, something that you find beautiful. Helen of Troy with beauty, not just something that you find easy. Katesh with pleasure. It's something that you may not know a great deal about, but Icarus here, although he's representing inexperience here, it's also, the first thing I thought of when I saw that card was aim high, because it won't harm. It's not that you're going to necessarily plummet like Icarus did when he flew too far to the sun. It's because this is the supportive row, it is aim high, and the fact that you are maybe inexperienced means that you are not aware of obstacles that can come into your way, and that in and of itself is a good thing, because you are going through a very break things time with Destroyer and Earthshaker here. There is so I would question how well any obstacle in your way would hold up under the onslaught that you could unleash upon it. But this is a quiet process. It's not a secret. It's just that you are not shouting from the rooftops by it, but it is setting something right. From the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, we have Kaliel with justice. And interestingly, that's opposed from the Goetia by Bathin with scandal. So, yeah, do something that would make the neighbours talk, but don't do it in a way where the neighbours get to talk. They don't need to know about this wonderful change of you searching after something beautiful with the wide-eyed naivety of a teenager. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a good thing because it's going to lead you somewhere. It doesn't say where yet, but I haven't drawn the tarot. But those things that are your duty, those things that I would ask you to question all of them, not as in a manner of rejecting them. Some of them you're going to go, yeah, actually, I need to do this. I've been doing it and I need to do this. Other things you'll be going, well, I've been doing it and I really don't need to do this. There's no point me doing it. It's not for me. It's not leading me anywhere. It's not leading others anywhere. Because remember, this is shared resources in your 8th house. So there is an element of, I think you will be upending somebody else's expectations of you. But I don't see that in a way that it's a bad thing. It's not the scandal. We've got justice to the top here. Kaliel is in power here. It's in a way of, I think a reaction that you may find is someone goes either, wow, I didn't know you could do that, or wow, it's about time. You know, there's because remember we're the full moon's conjunct with Chiron, which I'd never actually mentioned during that whole waffling about Chiron in the introduction, but it's actually yeah. So this duty, it's interesting. We've got Knight of Wands with the communication, and Knight of Cups with the duty that's being overlaid upon you. It's almost like it could be telling you of a dream that you have got to sign up for, and no, you haven't. But what it could also be telling you is of one of your duties that you're suddenly going, you know what? There's a better way to do this. There's a completely different way to do this. And that, I really like that feeling, because although the archons here are putting this duty upon you, you know, so, you know, carry on, slave. But that Knight of Cups feels really, really nice. And it's not as in the duty feels nice, even though we have pleasure here with Katesh. It's that it inspires a new dream that enables you to go, well, like I said, there's a better way to do this. I would also not be surprised if something gets revealed to you that you did not know. You know, there's... But when you are, okay, when you're busy destroying things, you know, using that energy of, yeah, I mean, could you get a better set of cards? So with Shiva the Destroyer, we've got the Seven of Pentacles. And what that's telling me is that these things that you are needing to destroy, study them carefully first. You know, there's a lot of thought going on here. There's a lot of, now if I leave that be, what will it grow into? And if I get rid of it, what can I grow in its place? But with the Earthshaker, we have the Tower card. So also, there is an element of some news can come in fast that is calling you to duty, but your immediate reaction is, stuff this for a game of darts, I'm not doing this, and that creates a real about turn, a real change. And that is... And that is a process where you recognize when you get to the other side of it, how you're in a better space. Yes, because look, Icarus here with the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so this, if you have some form of secret revealed, you don't have to let anybody know that you know this secret. You know, it's that what I get from here is that, and I'm not saying that this secret is something that's bad. This secret might be something that's in your interest, but it's also in your interest to pretend that you don't know it yet. Do you know what I mean? This is something to just file away and do not react. And do not act upon it just yet, but make your plans in private. Because the Knight of Swords is definitely telling me about book work, planning, and I don't want to say swift action. I want to say preparing for swift action, because you've got so many pentacles here leading up to the swift action that you believe you need to take in regards to whatever secret is revealed to you, is one that again needs to be carefully considered in advance. But also you need to wait for the dust to settle before you react to that secret. Another way of looking at these is that there's something that you have been keeping secret and you don't actually need to. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops, but there may well be someone with whom you share resources. So bear in mind, and bear in mind that these gods at play, they're always very dramatic readings, because just so take the shape of the symbols, you know, there's... but this shared resources could be a partner, the family, work, colleagues, friends, whatever. You know, charity, political party, whatever. But there's a wonderful sense of, what if we try it this way? There's also that wonderful sense of, like, hell am I doing that? You know, and I feel really good about that. Or, more to the point with what I was getting from Hera and the Knight of Cups, like hell I'm doing it that way. And there will be an alternate path forward that you can see that maybe is framed by naivety, but so what? That's what makes it so beautiful. That's what ensures that you will be setting the scales right, whatever that means. There's not a lot more I can say for that, Virgo, but yeah, that's a really nice and dramatic reading. So I will say, don't act too hastily, but when you act with gusto. Okay, so if it means anything to you, or well, when it means something to you, or if it means something to you, comment down below. Your monthlies will be out in the first few days of October. They're not all going to be ready for the 1st, that's for certain. But in the meantime, stay tuned. Now go and watch your moon and rising videos, all right? Cheers.